Hey, welcome to another episode of the InNOLEvation Mindset podcast powered by the Moran College of Entrepreneurship. I am Mark McNees, your host. And in studio today, we have the CEO of Knowli, a data research firm, Emily Saras. Hey, Emily, how are you doing?
Hey there. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
I'm excited to have you in. I've never had a research firm, a data research firm person in, and you're the CEO. But before we get into Knowli and the company and everything, I just love to hear a little bit about you. Where did you grow up? What was your background? Were you an extremely wealthy child who had limousines take you to kindergarten, or were you a working family? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. I grew up in a working middle-class household in Massachusetts. So I'm from New England. And gosh, I had a really nerdy childhood. I was really into school, wanted to be a doctor when I grew up, had no idea about entrepreneurship. A big passion of mine was singing, so I actually in college pivoted away from that pre-med dream and I pursued opera and performance studies. So
wow.
I lived in Europe, I had international concert experience. I've taken a lot of pivots, Mark.
Yeah.
So anyway, I use a lot of that opera training in my role as CEO. I tell this to people all the time that a lot of it is performance and communication and really translating subtext for people. But I just use data instead of music these days.
Okay. Tell us a little bit, you're a PhD, so tell us a little bit about your educational background and tell us what you got your PhD in and maybe a little bit about your dissertation.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I did my sociology PhD here at Florida State University. Woo! My research is in institutions and looking at how institutions implement what we call interventions, anything that interrupts, in this case of my dissertation, student pathways towards success in STEM. And we look at the different factors at the institutional level of how to motivate and produce more STEM graduates effectively.
Okay.
So lots of statistics, lots of math, and then along the way doing focus groups and other kinds of research too.
It's kind of interesting that you have such a heavy arts background and then you have this data science background. How do you see those merging like together, and do you use that currently in your day-to-day role?
All the time. I tell people that there is science to data science, but we really do have to be creative about how we communicate with people to help them really understand complex problems, such as cancer screening rates among Medicaid populations to prevent future cancer and future adverse outcomes of treatment. How you convey that to really smart policy wonk folk and public policy officials to help them make better decisions. A lot of them don't have a really strong statistical background, but they really can understand a compelling story. It's maybe a stretch, but it's the same kind of work of developing a character and figuring out how to convey that performance on a stage.
Okay.
Is the same kind of way you put up a data dashboard that has elements that really convey a compelling story to make a certain policy decision or to make a certain financial investment. So, hey, I think it's all part of the same kind of skill set.
So you're the CEO of Knowli, but you're not the founder. Can you tell us a little bit about the founders and how this company was founded? I believe you said 15 years ago?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about
Around
that.
since 2008. So John and Renee Kane both come from a public health background. John is a respiratory therapist turned chief data scientist. Renee brings over 2 decades of public policy experience in the child wellness and nutrition space. So they came together to found this company to provide direct data science services to Florida Medicaid. Back then, it was a team of 5 people, and they were just routinely providing data and analytics to help Florida Medicaid make business decisions. They're amazing. They brought me and my partner, Amy Thorne, on board the same day. So we compete about who is employee 6 or 7.
Okay.
We're proud of this because now we're a 30-person and growing company.
Okay, great.
But they brought us on to specifically diversify and grow the business. So now we're serving 12 different clients throughout the Southeast, providing Florida agencies, South Carolina agencies, other work throughout the Southeast to support business decisions in government. And then we also support other organizations with data and analytics too.
Okay. So I'm not really familiar with your world, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners a lot of them are students, and then we have a lot of entrepreneurs, especially from the Moran Institute, as you're part of, and we'll get into that a little bit. But unpack a little bit for me, like what would be an ideal customer and what kind of problem would they come to you with? And just take me through how you would solve their problem.
Sure. So I can speak specifically about the kind of work that we do for South Carolina in their Department of Health and Human Services. We support their Medicaid program in really understanding the health outcomes of Medicaid enrollees, help them understand their fiscal operations, help them really understand how to best make policy and implement interventions to support people. In plain language, what that really looks like is we use big data coming in somewhat near real time from health encounters and claims. Every time you go to the doctor, there's a bunch of data that's produced, right? Mm-hmm. So we analyze that data by the millions, sometimes billions of records to better understand, are mothers getting the appropriate care when it comes to maternal health, birth outcomes? Are infants getting the right care on time and at the right moment of intervention to be able to prevent adverse outcomes? We look at behavioral health among all of the Medicaid enrollees to make sure that people are taking their medication and adhering to their plans, as well as getting the best possible outcomes when it comes to emergency room visits, hospitalizations. So really, we're doing archaeological dig work, looking a lot at big data to help influence decisions and improve outcomes.
So is it mostly in the companies, are they using that just to create better outcomes for their customers or patients, or is a large part of it for policy makers and fund allocation and things like that?
I'll tell you, it's both. It's a big old soup of all of those kinds of questions, because often the policymakers, the implementers are the same folks in state government. So it's working as a big team. On our team side, that means that we're often having to translate our data science findings into different languages for different audiences to hear and understand and react to the findings of our work.
So are you just giving them the data and putting it in a digestible way, or are you actually creating presentations for them, or are you even giving presentations for them? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So sometimes our work looks like putting together, alongside our stakeholders, alongside our clients, putting together massive public-facing dashboards that are meant for public transparency on health or environmental protection topics and concepts. Sometimes we're supporting local clients in making dashboards for their teams to reflect on and to make informed decisions about what next steps that they want to take. Sure, putting together presentations is the bread and butter of the work we do. A lot of one-pager or multi-page reporting, some the size of dissertations themselves. So we really run the gamut of what especially a government, an organization, or an institution might need for decision-making. A recent client was the University of Florida, their extension programs, their agricultural extension programs, and really helping understand how to better collect feedback from faculty about how their students are performing and what their impact is in the community. So measuring return on investment of programs really runs the gamut. We get to do a lot of exciting research.
Okay. I don't know if you can answer this, but obviously you have a lot of data coming in and things like that. What kind of trends are you seeing now, I guess, I'll let you choose the industry, and you can say you can't answer it too.
No, I absolutely could. Okay. I think it's a public service too. I'm happy to discuss. We have a lot of different contracts, whether it's at the Florida Department of Health, in partnership with the FSU Claude Pepper Center and Pepper Institute here on FSU's campus. We do a lot of research in infant and maternal mortality and morbidity. This work is mirrored through telemedicine intervention research that we do for South Carolina, for Florida. We really have a massive issue that we need to address from a public health standpoint, and it has a lot of support across the political aisle about reducing unpreventable death of mothers during childbirth and throughout the phases leading up to and post, as well as infant mortality. I think the recent statistic is that Florida ranks maybe 37th in the nation. We might want to double check that stat, but
Okay.
the trend
But it's
is
not good.
It's not good news. And there's a lot of work that public health institutions, that community organizations can all do together to really work on reducing those rates. Of course, maternal death, infant death, horrible when it happens. It is rare. It's a rare adverse outcome. But again, the stats really measure up when we look at the general statewide trends. There's a lot of movement to be made to make sure that mothers during pregnancy are having timely and effective care.
Okay. Can you tell me about a kind of a win that your company, that Knowli has had, that a company who came to you and got the research done and everything was able to improve their outcomes?
Yeah, sure. We're in process. I love talking about this particular project. We're in the process of making these data start a community conversation. Really proud to be working with the Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce and their Aspire program that they support. It's run by Morgan Evers, Corey Melton, Teresa Dennis, a lot of amazing folks in town, co-founded by Leon County School Board member Marcus Nicholas. They're really intentionally focused on improving the education to workforce pipeline here in Leon County. It's something that I get passionate about because business leaders should care. If we want the talent to hire, we got to invest and better understand what's happening in our local public school education.
Interesting.
Yes. So what we've done is, working with their team, Knowli has collected a lot of public-facing data, a lot of other data points that, yes, you could probably Google, find on your, but you might not know what to look for to best understand the pathway of ninth graders as they go through high school, what challenges they face to entering the workforce or continued education. We gathered all these KPIs, we gathered all these metrics, and we looked at it by high school. So our dashboard that is public facing now, that a lot of folks statewide are responding to, they're really looking at how these students, in the aggregate, there's a really high chronic absenteeism rate here in Leon County.
Okay.
There's challenges, although we've made huge gains, there's challenges with FAFSA completion. That's how you get federal student aid for college.
Okay.
So we're looking at these metrics. We have a new dashboard to help facilitate that public conversation of, okay, where's the next point for intervention? Where's the next point that we can dial up on supporting our local students? So we're proud of that.
That's awesome. These are all huge initiatives. What's the smallest kind of company that you would be able to help?
We're working with the Commission on the Status of Women and Girls here in Leon County. I think it's a Tallahassee-Leon County combined effort. It might be a small contract, but it's a really powerful one where we're gathering, similar to the Aspire project, we're gathering a lot of metrics about women and the experiences that they have, from education to economic security and vitality to domestic violence and other key metrics, and really putting them into a data storytelling dashboard to help centralize the conversation and, like I keep saying, advance to those next steps, better outcomes.
No, that's really interesting. Now, you mentioned another state. I think you said South Carolina?
South Carolina.
South Carolina. Is your work primarily in the state of Florida, or are you Southeast, or what's the range of the company right now?
Right now, we're working throughout the Southeast. We have done work in Texas. We are in the process of trying to get work in other states up and down the Eastern Seaboard. So I think that's maybe one of the things we're most proud of at Knowli is our growth, that we've grown outside the Florida ecosystem of government work. Now we're serving nonprofits, private organizations. We've served a national nonprofit before, the U.S. of Care public policy and public health organization. We're excited that we're spreading our wings. I'm hopeful for continued growth as we keep building our relationships, and as folks from different organizations move on, the trend has been that they want Knowli to come with them to help support their next stage in their career. So we've got a lot of irons in the fire, Mark.
It sounds like it. So if a student wanted to get into this type of work, what kind of education would they need? What are you looking for as a CEO of a company to bring in new employees? What kind of skill sets?
That's a really good question, because all of our folks on our team come from a really diverse range of educational backgrounds. So my first thought to a student is, oh my gosh, how can we utilize your subject matter expertise? Because What we've really set up with Knowli is that the data scientist, the person doing the statistics, doing the computer programming, is the same person who has a graduate credential, a medical degree, a clinical degree. So they're really utilizing that expertise to do the data science work. It cuts down on a lot of the time, misinterpretation. It really supports better effective decision making in the end, because folks are getting that literature-based, evidence-based support when we're doing data science consulting. Oh my gosh, I've gotten on a tangent. Can you bring me back?
Yeah, just skill set. You're talking about different skill sets
yes.
that you are bringing in. And if a student is listening to this and they want to upskill to get your attention or something like walking in, I was asking, what kind of skill set are you looking for?
So bringing it back to that question, thank you. We're looking for folks that have demonstrated either data science or data visualization skills. Sometimes those could be different skill sets. Somebody who's an awesome data visualizer might not be as strong in the classic programs we look for to serve state clients are SAS, SQL, R, Python. I could list a long list. A lot of folks working in Tableau, Power BI, Click, those are those data visualization, data dashboarding platforms. But when we're looking for new talent, I think we're looking for folks that have great critical thinking skills. I firmly believe expertise and data science skills can be taught. I'm an example. I started playing with statistics when I was 26. So It's been a little over a decade of me playing in this space. So I don't think you have to be born a math person. You don't have to have a math or statistics degree, but it's really about integrating. So when we look to hire, we have strong connections here at FSU, at AMU, at TSC, where we're looking to cultivate those relationships through internships and skill build with folks. Hey, if you're interested, reach out, Knowli.com. Always happy to talk with students, whether it's an informational interview or to talk about internships and next steps.
So let's talk a little bit about your career trajectory, and you're the CEO now. Did the founders hire you as the CEO, or did you come in and rose through the ranks? Tell us a little bit about your career path.
It's definitely the latter, and it was definitely an unexpected career pivot for me, although I think all of these different pivot paths have kind of French braided together in a way that makes sense for me. I was hired as a data scientist. I had Tableau and data visualization skills. So when I was brought on to serve Florida Medicaid with data science work. And I also was charged with business development. And that was new for me. I had a lot of skills. I used to work at Florida State in the Office of Institutional Research, so I knew about the importance of building relationships and looking for new work across campus, but it was definitely dialed up. The pressure was on to find especially new government clients and find ways to expand Knowli's footprint. So I was brought on in those roles, and then it was over time and evolution. Throughout COVID, I actually served in the Office of the Executive Governor doing data science on not cases, that's the world of Department of Health, but looking at hospital data in near real time to track resources. This was back when PPE was not readily available. We were looking for ventilators, and our data work helped coordinate the movement of supplies and nursing and other staffing throughout the state. So during that experience, I got a lot of exposure to supporting really high power decision makers with data science, and also maintaining the integrity in a politicized environment of how do you really make sure that the right data is getting to the right decision maker. Through those pivots, we also just really strengthened our relationships and started pitching to do more work. And we've expanded a lot since then. So I became the CEO. Again, it was an exciting, surprising challenge for me to take on about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I want to switch gears a little bit as far as ask you a little bit about AI and the impact it's having on not only Knowli, but your industry, and how or are you using AI to produce better outcomes?
Great question. We're definitely in the thick of it. So I can't talk in too many specifics, but Knowli does have AI IP that we've developed. We are in the process of setting up proof of concepts with some of our clients to explore using that. Long story short, we're using large language models to really investigate policy documents and make better informed decisions when different policies might trump each other. Just think about healthcare policy and how complex it can be.
Right.
So our solution, and I know I'm skirting over the delightful complexity of it, but is really in tuned to help make those decisions very clear and allow the user to interrogate documents without the kinds of hallucinations that show up in typical models that aren't trained on this kind of specific legal documentation. We actively use AI for several of our clients, especially when we're looking at large, complex comment data that's embedded in medical records. So we use AI machine learning algorithms to better detect in predictive modeling, as an example, looking at folks predicting how they might react from a physiological level if treated with a specific treatment RAM, and forecasting any adverse side effects in the large population, actually what the financial and health outcomes, the health econometrics of data science questions really come into play with our AI work.
Okay. So I don't know if this is a question you can answer, but I'm just curious as a person, what kind of data trends are you seeing that keep you up at night? Maybe you're not necessarily contracted to look at, but you're seeing some trends that are concerning to you.
This might be a surprising pivot, but one that really does keep me up at night, and I can hear some of my staff chuckling as I answer this way. I'm concerned about AI and our writing and communication skills and what might happen as folks continue to use AI to better communicate with one another. I think back about, and a lot of my friends are professors, and how students often turn in AI generated content. I don't want to touch and get into the policies of a syllabus and how to react to that, but I just know how critically important written communication and verbal communication is. And I'm just a firm believer, and it might be my opera background talking, but you need to practice to keep that skill up.
Yeah.
And I might sound like I'm bragging, but I can confirm that this is a multi-million-dollar skill to be able to navigate negotiations, high-pressure communications, not be reactive, but be tactical and strategic in communicating. So that's my concern. I know a lot of folks on our team leverage AI to support them with reviewing code or expediting the complicated process of looking for they're called ICD-10 codes. All of the codes about specific health conditions are programmed. I'm totally okay with leveraging AI to make that kind of work easier. I get concerned about communicating, and that we got to maintain that skill with the reps.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'll let you react. So this is something I tell all my students all the time, and I'll let you respond to it. I'd love to get your honest feedback on it. So I tell them that I firmly believe that there are really two things that are going to determine your net worth, and that is the quality of your network and how well you can communicate an idea to a person or a group of people.
Ooh.
Am I right? Or tell me where I've gone wrong, and what am I missing?
I think you're just missing one thing.
Okay.
Risk and discomfort tolerance.
Ooh, that's good.
Got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because, man, it's not comfortable out here.
Yeah.
There's that navigation of potential judgment, misunderstanding, taking a risk, knowing what the reward might be, and that onlookers might not understand what that is.
Right.
I don't know. For me, that's been a big learning and growing moment over the last 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah, risk tolerance, man.
All right. Yeah, no, that's true.
But communicating an important idea to someone and knowing how to, could I say the word code switch? And that sometimes you're going to communicate it differently to one stakeholder than the other. Knowing how to do that will get you miles ahead of others.
I have a game that I developed. I actually wrote a paper on it, and it's a game that it's based on Jenga, like giant Jenga that I play with the students. And the giant Jenga it's one with lots of different colors, and each color represents a different stakeholder. And during the game, they have to communicate the same idea, but they have to, each time they present, they have to communicate it to a different stakeholder, the same idea, like to focus on what they're thinking, like what they care about and what they understand. And the students are always like, why can't it just be one message? And then the whole game is based to build that kind of those reps and those skills of like, how do I communicate something that's important, but to different stakeholders?
Yes. This reminds me so much, deep instilled in everyone's opera training. Going back to that, is it's never really what you're singing or saying. It's the subtext of what that message is. So you might be singing, I love you. But are you really asking for attention? Are you asking for help? Are you setting a stake in the ground? It's in that same kind of process that we think about when we're negotiating, communicating, pitching. It's how do you meet the needs of the person, not communicate just what you need, but build that bridge. Anyway, I want to play the Jenga game. That sounds fun.
We have a good time, and it's been picked up. It's been played at Stanford, Oxford, and lots of different other universities around the world and in the United States. So I have a dream that someday there will be a competition based on it. Because
I think it can happen.
I think so, and the students love it because they get to actually, in the game, like they are actually playing Jenga, and the risk and reward is they have to decide, do they want to grow fast and tall and risk taking blocks out and risk the tower falling over, or do they want to grow slower and be safe and things like that? So it has a lot of kind of entrepreneurial, but also they have to pitch a lot throughout the game. So it's lots of fun.
That sounds fun. I want to play.
Yeah, I always tell them it's the best day of the semester when we play. And a lot of times I try to play on land of screen. So we're like outside and
see and be seen.
Yeah, that, and the other students are like, hey, what's going on? And plus we have beautiful land of screens, so be able to go out there and play. So I wanted you to come in today because Knowli just got a great honor from the Jim Moran Institute of being one of their 30 fastest growing companies. Yay. And so tell us a little bit about that and the growth that you've been experiencing, and tell us, kind of project into the future, what kind of growth do you think you're going to see in the future?
That's really awesome. First, thank you. And we're so proud of our growth. We're small but mighty, and we definitely see a future. We'll be serving more state agencies. Really, our growth has been one step at a time, not only setting up opportunities. So in government work, that's a lot of procurement documents, requests for quotes, negotiations, big conversations and pitches with partners. But a big component has also been hiring the right staff and really investing in staff to be able to manage the growth with us. Growth is not comfortable.
Right.
Risk tolerance comes into play again. And as we have grown to serve more clients, we also realize it's not one size fits all. Every single client is different. Every single client has different needs from our staff. And a lot of those include being, how to be a trusted advisor. So as we've grown, so much of our company culture has been coaching our folks to be excellent consultants, to be trustworthy, trusted advisors, ramping up their skill sets and their expertise. So we have folks on our team who've continued with their master's education or entering PhD programs because can't stop smart people, but also because that's the kind of expertise that our clients and organizations trust. So that's been some of the most challenging part of, as you grow, you're bringing in a lot of folks. I try to stay away from language of company as a family, but you really are picking the people that you're going to spend the majority of your time with, do hard things under a lot of pressure. So that's been a lot of the growth, has been investing in those areas.
Cool. Thank you. And I know that you were part of the executive program at the Jim Moran Institute, correct?
Oh my gosh. Loved that program.
Tell us a little bit, before you tell us about the program, how did you hear about it and why did you sign up, and then tell us about the program?
I'm really lucky. I can't tell you how. One of the big components I tell other entrepreneurs is, even if you don't have local business, which we do now, but we didn't always, invest in getting to know your local community. Build your network of local folks. Again, even if you don't see them as business prospects, Get involved, because you're going to find out about opportunities like this. I can't tell you who I found out about this program from.
Okay.
But I know it was somebody that was in my local network, probably another person working for a nonprofit who had done the nonprofit executive program. Doing this program has been so helpful because while I am a nerd, I've got a lot of degrees, don't have experience in business, don't have an MBA, don't have a lot of the same just rigor of those kinds of case studies, developing a true business plan. Those were skills that were just big gaps that I needed to fill. So as soon as I ascended into the CEO role, I think it's around that time that somebody said, hey, you should check out the JMI programs that they have.
Okay.
That's just my long way of saying tap into your network, because I'm really lucky. I have folks like the owner of Tulula, Ashley Guy, Audra Fournier, who's a faculty member at JMI, folks just saying, hey, check out this opportunity, check out this award. I love it. So, yeah.
Be interesting to hear you and Ashley in a conversation.
Oh my gosh, she's the best. I really like her.
She is. She's a fun lady.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of all of the success that she's had as well. At the end of every podcast, I like to ask my guest one question. And the question is, if you could go back before you started at Knowli and you were able to tell yourself one thing, what would you tell yourself?
Oh my gosh. Picking one thing is really hard. So I think I'm going to say the most important, and it's this acronym STOP.
Okay.
I love to rush ahead. I love to be reactive. Just my natural nature is go. And to be able to, it spells out stop, T, take a breath, observe, and then P, proceed mindfully.
Okay. It's a good word.
This is maybe Captain Obvious, but you, even under high pressure where we truly had 1 hour to get a report because the governor was going to give a press release and needed this data, you always have 10 seconds to really take a breath and think about strategy. I thought my gut reaction was the best reaction 10 years ago. And even if that works 90% of the time, there's 10% of the time where it's really important to take a pause and really observe all the dynamics of a situation. Sometimes those extra 10 seconds save you. The stop and the pause gives you the time to catch an important typo, to notice, oh, wait, in this model, higher is better. Let me fix that small error. It also makes sure that it gives you that time to make sure you're communicating the tone that's trustworthy. So for me, learning to stop when you want to go has been a key takeaway for my own growth.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming in today and sharing about your journey and the Knowli journey. And I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for tuning in to another amazing episode of the InNOLEvation Mindset podcast powered by the Moran College of Entrepreneurship. Hey, if you like this episode, be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss another amazing episode. And then finally, hey, drop us a comment. We love comments and we always respond. We'll see you next time.